Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has hidden unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure, or admire an old one. What will we find today? Let's dig in. Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
If you think about it, there are lots of reasons for people in the Christmas story to hear the words from God saying, "Do not fear." When the angel showed up to Mary, even before he said a word, she would have known her life was about to change. That would have been disconcerting enough, but the first thing out of his mouth would have given her every reason to flee in fear of the future. Do you remember what he said? "Greetings, you who are highly favored." The next verse says that Mary was greatly troubled at his words. If you really think about it, wouldn't you be? Who else in the Bible was favored by God? Well, there was Joseph, favored by his father and by God. The Lord even gave him dreams of what his future would hold. But remember what happened to him? His brothers sold him as a slave. His master's wife falsely accused him, and he ended up in prison for years. And then there was Daniel. The angel greeted him with, "Daniel, you who are highly esteemed." This, to a man who'd been stolen away from his family, had gone through so much, and had been thrown to the lions. How about David? Even God called him the man after his own heart. Yet David was hunted down like an animal, his life threatened at every turn. Oh, and then there was Job. The Lord had bragged on him. "Have you considered my servant Job?" the Lord said. "There's no one on earth like him. He's blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." And you know what happened to him? He lost his flocks and herds, servants, and 10 children, and then he lost his health. People who are highly favored by God get the hardest jobs, the biggest obstacles, the greatest hardships. I could think of many others: Noah, Abraham, Moses, the prophets. If that's what happens to people who are highly favored by God, Mary had good reason to be troubled at the angel's greeting. And she was right. She probably never thought of her life as normal again. Her pregnancy and marriage were suspect, her reputation ruined, and she would have the burden of knowing that she would raise the Messiah. Besides that, obstacles continually arose, like traveling while so close to her time, having her child born in a stable, having to flee to Egypt. And what do you think she must have thought about Simeon's prophecy? He said, "A sword will pierce your own soul too." I'm sure Mary remembered his words as she stood at the foot of the cross 33 years later. But when we meet Mary in heaven, do you think she'll be discussing the hardships and suffering she went through, or glorifying God for the honor and blessing she received? Have you ever been afraid for God to use you because you knew it would be painful? Would you rather He set you on a shelf for show, or be used by God and get beaten, banged up in the process? Jesus Himself said, "From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. And from the one who has been entrusted much, much more will be asked." Are you favored by God? If you've grown up in a Christian home, if you own a Bible, or even if you've had a chance to hear the gospel, you are favored. As the angel said to Mary, "Do not be afraid. You have found favor with God." Will you, like Mary, reply, "Lord, I'm your servant. Do whatever you want with me"?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. Also, if you'd like to share a treasure God has given you by doing an episode, please contact us. You can listen to other episodes on our website, which you'll find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.